Hello and welcome to another episode of Radical Disruption. I have a wonderful special guest joining me today. Her name is Dawn and she is an accountant for entrepreneurs. And in today's episode, we talk all things taxes and tax planning for entrepreneurs. And I'm so excited for you to tune in. So let's dive into the episode. Hello, I am so excited for today's episode. I have Dawn here with me and we are going to be chatting all things taxes and how you can save on taxes and the importance of talking about taxes as an entrepreneur. But before we dive into that conversation, Dawn, I would love to hear your entrepreneur story. How did you get to where you are? What does your journey look like?
Of course. I love sharing my story because I feel like so many other entrepreneurs can relate as well that we didn't really plan to be an entrepreneur. We just suddenly were one.
Yes.
And so my story is very much like that, where I was, okay, I actually went to school for nursing. So it's funny that was your story too.
I love it.
Went to school for nursing, decided somewhere along the way, this isn't vibing with me. Let me start a business degree. Somewhere in business classes, I took an accounting class and I was like, this seems interesting. Changed my major to accounting. Did not want to be an accountant, though, mind you. I'm just
Interesting.
doing the college thing because I thought of like old men in briefcases sitting in cubicles. And I was like, no, that's not where I want to be. But let's take these classes. We can make something of it. And then got a job in accounting. Loved it. Grew in that position. Started managing that firm in a matter of a few years. And then my husband and I moved. I actually got burnt out from that job because I had so much on my plate. Was being paid $18 an hour to manage the entire firm. I'm
Oh,
talking like discovery calls. I'm doing all the marketing. I am reviewing all tax returns, all bookkeeping. I'm hiring people. Paid 18 an hour. I'm burnt out. My husband and I move and I'm like, I think I'm done being an accountant already.
yeah.
Because tax season as an accountant too is just gruesome.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom
Hmm.
with maybe a side thing of accounting.
Yeah.
And so he's just start your own firm then. And I was like, that's so much responsibility. I'm good. So wasn't doing anything for a while. Went back to nannying actually, which was like something I've done all my teenage years. And next thing I had old clients texting me like, Dawn, we know you don't want to start your own firm, but can you just be our accountant? Like, how about just for us? Make an exception for us. And I had 5 clients all saying this. And I was like, okay, I'll make an exception for all of you. In order to justify the cost of the software, though, I needed a couple more clients.
Yeah.
So I hop on Instagram. I create this profile just to find a few more clients. And within months, this is like January of 2020, within 3 months, I call both of my sisters and I'm like, I need help. Can you guys work for me? Because I am packed to the brim. So many people are wanting to work with me. And that is how my business started, was this happy accident. From there, it's just been I hired a lot of my friends, old people who I've previously worked with, friends of friends, family. Yeah, it's just been a fun journey since.
That's so cool that you've been able to support other people around you and probably giving them freedom to be able to live the life of their dreams too, because you are living your dreams. And I think that's something that's so cool about entrepreneurship that we don't talk about anywhere near enough, is like how cool it is that we're able to bring people like along on this journey, like of working towards our dreams, but also being able to support other people in like their dreams too. If you're hiring other people for like even independent contractors or even employees too, if you're supporting them by paying them, like that's them living out their dreams. And I'm like, that's just so cool. I love your story so much. And I wasn't planning on asking about this specifically, but I would love to know, because I know that listeners are probably also wondering the same thing, which is what do you feel like contributed to your massive success within months of starting your Instagram account, do you feel like there was any, probably not one specific thing, but like maybe a few different things that contributed to you being booked out and being able to bring on help and support because you were creating so much momentum for your business?
Yeah, I don't know that there's one right thing, or maybe I see it different than someone else would see it. But if I were to boil it down, I'd probably say I had no expectations, so I just went to serve.
I love that.
And when you go to serve, people are drawn to that. And at the end of the day, that's all I ever wanted to do is I just want to help people, but don't burn me out. Just let me help. That's been the core. So showed up, no commitments, no expectations, served, and people came running.
Would you say that referrals played a big role? Because you were saying these 5 clients were begging you to take them on as clients. Would you say that played a big role? Like having a really good client experience and then them telling probably their friends, I would assume.
Oh, huge part of that was referrals. I found a handful of people through Instagram, but even the people I found on Instagram, I would say were referrals because it was
Yeah.
one person like, you've got to go work with her. Or even it was discovery calls. I'd hop on a discovery call with someone and they'd be like, wait, this isn't how accountants normally talk, or this is a totally different vibe than my current accountant. I want this. And they're already sending people my way.
Yeah.
So I do try to have a very good client experience, but I would say it's even before the full client experience, it's that initial vibe of what are you putting out there? Because people feel that.
I love that so much. And what would you say to someone who's, how do I find that vibe?
Like someone who's searching for
Yeah,
it.
like searching for that thing that is that almost like differentiating factor that, like we were saying, when people hopped on this
Yeah.
discovery call with you and they're like, oh, this is different. Like,
Yeah.
how did you find that? I'm guessing it was through your journey of having probably not even necessarily bad experiences, but like seeing how things were and how you wanted them to be different, I would assume.
I would say that. As far as me creating the vibe, it was me staying true to myself. And then as far as people finding and attracting that vibe, I think it's the same thing of they know what they want. They're
Yeah.
putting that same vibe out into the world and you find each other, you connect. It's like magnets. And if you're having a really hard time finding it, go ask your friends who you trust because maybe they've already found it.
Ooh, I love that so much. Okay. I want to keep, I'm like, probably need a part 2 episode already of this, but I want to talk about taxes because that is
Yes.
such an important conversation that I've seen such a gap, especially in the entrepreneurship space. I feel like, I would say outside of the entrepreneurship space, not, I don't know, it's more common, but like in the entrepreneurship space, there's just so many, I don't even know what the word would be, but there's just so many intricacies with being an entrepreneur, and
Yeah.
it's just not talked about anywhere enough. So I would love to dive into our conversation about taxes, and we'll probably have to do a part 2 more talking about business growth and all of that good stuff too. But my very first question for you is, what is tax planning and how can this help people, specifically entrepreneurs, to save money on taxes?
Yeah. Okay. So we're just diving deep then because tax planning, even entrepreneurs are like, wait, I have to do my own taxes. So,
Yes.
and then tax planning is in addition to that. Okay. We're not just going to go file the return with the IRS and with your state and say, okay, this is what happened. We're actually going to think and we're going to plan ahead. And we're
Mm.
going to be strategic and we're going to look at what write offs you could qualify for or what entity types are best for you or where you could contribute money to save money on taxes. And so we're actually looking at different strategies to keep more money in your pocket at the end of the day. And that's tax planning in a nutshell.
So it's more looking at it right now, moving forward versus it's happening to me. It's like I don't even know what that word would be either, but
Yeah, it's like the proactive
yes,
forecasting
yes,
instead of the historical report of this is what happened.
yeah, for sure. And I think that in my experience, and I can even say this for myself too. I'm very much that person where it's like, oh, taxes are coming. Okay, I need to pay my taxes. And then same thing happens the next year where this happens and then I pay a lot more in taxes than I want to. And then I'm shooting myself in the foot instead of,
Mhm.
like you said, being proactive in that aspect. What does that like process look like when it comes to tax planning? Is there like a step by step to that, or is it more so it just depends on the person?
It totally depends on the business and where they're at. It also depends on the person, though, too, and what their goals are. Because some people's goals are very personal related. Nope, I just need the most cash I can right now to invest in my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Others have some money that they can invest in things, or even talking about the money to hire an accountant to do a tax plan is
Yeah.
an investment. So it just depends on the entrepreneur and where they're at in business, I'd say. But step one, make sure you're working with an accountant who understands your industry, who understands entrepreneurs, and who does tax planning. Because there are so many accountants who don't tax plan. And then you're shooting yourself in the foot because they didn't offer anything helpful. It's only historical stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I've definitely experienced that as well, being on the side of having an accountant where the accountant is just there to just simply file the taxes. And my
Mm,
husband, even just the other day, was like, we need to start shopping for another accountant. We need someone who's a little bit more hands on and helps us with, like you said, the tax planning aspect of things. Now, there was a
yeah.
post on your feed recently where you were talking about 9 ways to save money on taxes. And inside of there, one of the things that you said was hiring an accountant. But can you talk about the 8 other things outside of hiring an accountant that can help people to save money on taxes?
Yeah, there's so many ways you can save money on taxes, but this post that you're talking about was like these are bare minimum things that you can be thinking about and doing. So one of those was paying estimated tax payments. Something that if you don't make the estimated tax payments, you pay a penalty on them. It's a tiny penalty. Your money might be used better elsewhere, but if you don't know that you're paying a penalty, it sucks at the end of the day when you're like,
Yeah.
wait, that's a couple $100s that if I had known, I could have saved. So make estimated tax payments,
Can we pause
contribute.
there for a
Yeah,
second before we move on to the next one? For someone who's like, I have no idea anything about taxes, can you give us just like a brief overview of what you mean by estimated tax payments?
yeah, that was a good pause, Maya. Estimated tax payments. The thing with taxes is they are a pay as you go system. W 2 employees have these taxes withheld every time they get a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Entrepreneurs, we don't get paychecks. We are our paychecks.
Yeah.
So we have to be withholding our own taxes. And every few months, it's not even on a quarterly basis, it's weird, but every few months, you're supposed to make a payment to the IRS and to your state to estimate how much taxes you'd owe and remit those taxes to the government.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what estimated taxes are. It's okay, how much, and it's looking at profits in your business. So how much have you earned? How much have you spent? What's left over?
Mm-hmm.
Multiply that by your tax rate, pay that to the government because that's the money you've earned. A lot of
Awesome.
people think that taxes are due in April, but April's just when you file the form to
Mm-hmm.
say, this is how much I earned, this is how much I spent. The money that you owe should have already been paid.
That was good. That was good. That was perfect. Thank you. In terms of other ways to save, before I interrupted you on taxes.
Yeah. Other ways to save, I think the next thing I was going to say was retirement account contributions.
Mm-hmm.
This one, you have to have money to put into a retirement account. So it's not for everyone. And I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes we get caught up thinking, like, oh, it's a tax savings. I need to do it. But it's really important that we have the mindset and looking at the full picture of not just doing something because it'll save taxes, but doing something because that's the best use of your money right then.
Yeah.
And retirement accounts, if you're not making substantial profits and if you're not paying yourself a good paycheck every month, if you don't have other investments, don't worry about your retirement account yet. Get
Mm-hmm.
other foundations set up first, but if you're ready for retirement accounts, make sure you contribute to one because that's tax savings.
I love that.
A couple other ones was exploring tax credits. This is if you hire an accountant, they should be able to do this for you. If you don't hire an accountant, that's fine, just not my number one recommendation cuz now you have to spend time to learn how to be a tax accountant instead of growing and scaling your business.
Mm-hmm.
Evaluating your entity type is a big one. The word S corp. Entrepreneurs who have been an entrepreneur long enough, someone's told them, you should be an S corp, but it's not always for everyone. And usually the threshold we're looking at, it totally depends on the industry type. So this is very generic advice, but usually we're looking at annual profits of around $70,000 or above
Mm-hmm.
until it makes sense for you to be an S corp. Anything below that, stay in LLC, sole proprietorship. Don't worry about doing anything too fancy. Start growing your profits because once you have big profits, that's where a lot of the tax savings come from.
Mm. Yes, I love that.
Contributing to HSAs was another one. Health savings accounts are great. Depends on your health insurance though, and what
Mhm.
your plan allows you to do. There's quite a few other things, but I would say that those are like hiring your kids
Yeah.
could be a good tax saving strategy, could also not be beneficial to you though. So it really depends on the business.
What are some tax deductions that you feel like people often miss?
Home office write off,
Mm.
big one. Even if you have a separate office, most all of us have some sort of office space in our home. Write it off.
Yeah.
Mileage. A lot of us think, oh, we work from home, we don't travel. I'm sure you go to the post office. I'm sure you go do Target or Costco runs to pick up supplies. I'm sure you go to conferences. You meet a friend at a coffee shop to talk business. Even those little trips add up.
Yeah.
And then cell phone. Those are like the
Mm.
three big ones. So writing off the business use of your cell phone, hello, Instagram, and all the time that we spend on there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I love that. In a post, you said if you think that bookkeeping is for taxes, you're doing it wrong. Can you explain a little bit more by what you mean by this?
Yeah. By that, a lot, bookkeeping isn't just for compliance. Like it is and it isn't. You have to do it because we have to file taxes. But if you're being strategic in your business, working smarter, not harder type of a thing, you actually want your bookkeeping to show you where the holes in your business are or to
Mm.
show you where the opportunities in your business are.
Mm-hmm.
And so using your bookkeeping as to be your guide of okay, where am I making money? Where am I losing money? What offers are bringing in money? How many hours am I putting into these offers?
Yeah.
And what am I profiting at the end of the day? Cuz too many people just look at that top line revenue and they're like, I made so much money off of this. And then when you evaluate the time that goes into it, the expenses that go into it, was that actually worth it? Or is there another offer in your offer suite that really is more profitable?
Yeah.
Looking at your bookkeeping, though, can also help with hiring. Where when you're looking at your time, you're looking at your expenses and you're looking at income opportunities, and you're like, what can I outsource? Who should I hire? When I say bookkeeping isn't for taxes, if you're doing it right, your bookkeeping should be your guiding star of where your next action should be, where
Yeah.
you're hiring, where your marketing efforts are going to, um, where your product, your offer suite needs to be. Do you have low cost ones, high cost ones, where you're losing clients? That'll all show in your bookkeeping if you're doing it right and then taking time to analyze the numbers.
Mm, I love that. So it's like almost like a guide to like how to navigate your business and what's bringing in the biggest, basically what's bringing in your ROI. What is your return on
Yeah.
investment for everything that you do in your business, which is something that no one, okay, not no one, but a very small percentage of people, let's be honest, are actually doing. And this was for me, once I had my baby girl, I was like, okay, I really need to sit down and look at, okay, if I only have X amount of time, where's my time best spent? And so this has been a huge focus for me in 2024 and will obviously be continuing forward. But I think that's so important. And I think a lot of times we think, as entrepreneurs, oh yeah, do the things that make us the most amount of money. It's, oh yeah, but are we actually doing those things at the end of the day? And so I love that that's like our blueprint of like how to navigate moving forward and seeing what's working and what's not working. Because oftentimes, like you said, we look at like the top view of things. We're like, oh, we're making X amount of money and this is really successful, but we could even make more amount of money if we were spending our time in the places that were bringing us the greatest ROI instead of like spreading ourselves thin. So I love
Yeah.
that view of things.
I just
Go
want to say one more thing on that of I'm saying all this and I know the way I'm saying it sounds like duh, do it like this. But no one has taught any like entrepreneurs this.
Yeah.
I know it because I have 2 degrees in accounting and how many years experience in actual I don't remember. 8 years doing CFO work now. So that's how I know how to do this. But as an entrepreneur, I would not expect you to get this report back from your bookkeeper and be like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. Not unless someone's taught you.
Yeah.
So use this as a message of, oh, my bookkeeping could be more. Okay, let me go talk to Dawn, and Dawn will help teach me how to make it more. Because right now it's probably just numbers on a page.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's a start. Now let's make it mean something. So
I love that. And I feel like that's how entrepreneurship is. At least for me, that's how my journey has been. It's, oh, I post on Instagram and it's okay, but what do the numbers behind the post actually mean? And if I use those numbers strategically, I can make more of my posts successful. And same thing with like email marketing. It's okay, I send out an email, but if I look at my click-through rate, if I look at my open rate, like that, all that data gives me what I need to be able to be more strategic and successful moving forward. But it's all a skill that I've had to learn. But also, though, there are definitely skills where I am like not even about to dip my toes into learning, where I need to outsource, which is where
right.
people like you come in.
Yeah. And the importance of yeah. Okay, I'm going to go back to you and having a baby girl though, big life change. Now, time is of the essence. We got to be really smart. That's when hiring makes so much sense though.
Yeah.
Like why would you spin your wheels doing something that's not bringing in money? You can just bring in the money, pay everyone, including yourself.
Yeah.
Boom.
No,
Yeah.
I love that.
These aren't things that you have to learn yourself. We get to hire people to do it for us.
Yes, and that leads me really well into my next question, which is what is the biggest mistake, or maybe even top 3 mistakes that you see entrepreneurs make when it comes to taxes?
When it comes to taxes, I would say not doing their bookkeeping is probably the absolute number one mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Because that whenever I talk to people who are behind in taxes, which happens often, they're like, I'm 3 years behind, I haven't filed. Why? Because they got overwhelmed with the bookkeeping.
Yeah.
If their bookkeeping were done, they could just hire someone to do the taxes. It'd be easy. But they got behind on that, so now they can't outsource the taxes. So I would say keeping your books up to date, it will help you find more tax deductions. It'll help taxes be less overwhelming. You can make estimated tax payments. You can do tax planning with an accountant. So many good things with bookkeeping. The second mistake I see a lot is not shopping around for an accountant that gets you. So many people settle, and I think they settle usually for their parents' accountant is like, who's down the street from me or who do my parents use? When your parents' financial situation is completely different than yours, not to mention just different vibes all around. Take time, shop around. You should be happy to pay anyone in your business, including an accountant. Like, we're picky about our business coaches. Go be picky about your accountant.
Yeah.
And then, third mistake I would say is just not working on mindset. where we just have this default of taxes are the enemy, they're the nemesis, they're this horrible thing, when instead of just like accepting taxes are taxes, I live in this country. These are the taxes. I'm choosing to live here and be a
Yeah.
citizen. So these are the taxes. And then working on your mindset around that. And it can be an abundance thing of I have plenty to pay, or I'm good at making my money, whatever mindset things you need to work on around that.
Yeah.
But just that acceptance instead of fighting taxes and how evil they are.
No, I love that so much. And I think it was inside of one of your posts I was looking at how you said, the more that you pay in taxes, the more, hopefully, the more money that you're making, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, that isn't necessarily always the case, depending on profits and all that good stuff. But looking at it from that aspect where it's like, hey, I have a successful business. And I think that's definitely not how majority of people, and definitely not even me. Like, I definitely need to work on that too, especially moving into tax season. And like, I think this is, like you said, it's not quarter, but like whatever we're
Yes.
needing to pay taxes for this first like quarter-ish of 2024. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I definitely need to be working on mindset for sure. Another thing that came up for me in terms of questions as you're speaking is, are there any tools that people can use if they're like, hey, it doesn't necessarily make sense for me to hire an accountant right now, but I would love to take that next step in terms of getting organized, whether that's bookkeeping and I don't know, just any tools that people could use to help them to get a little bit more organized and set things up into place where they're basically taking those steps proactively to, I guess, eventually be able to hire an accountant, but also just being able to do things for themselves right now.
Yeah, I actually am a total advocate for when you're starting your business, being your own bookkeeper. I think there's so much power in learning about the numbers and how to do that. And people are plenty capable of being their own bookkeeper.
Yeah.
I do recommend outsourcing the taxes
Hmm.
and letting that be like your once a year annual check in with an accountant. Make sure that your bookkeeping is right, get
Yep.
that tax support help. But as far as the bookkeeping goes, I actually have a course that teaches entrepreneurs how to use QuickBooks Online and how to be their own bookkeeper, how to analyze financial statements, how to look at all that. So that would be the resource I would send people to is go take my course on QuickBooks Online, learn how to be your own bookkeeper, learn what the numbers inside your business mean and what they're saying. It's a wonderful community, very supportive. It's all female entrepreneurs inside of it, very supportive community that's just very empowering to you as an entrepreneur.
I love that. All right, my very last question for you is, if you could go back to day one of your journey as an entrepreneur and give yourself any advice, what would it be?
I would just tell myself to go for it. I think I fought it for months of no, this is just a hobby. I'm not a real business owner. I sold myself short for a long time, and I would have just given myself a pep talk of, you've got this, Dawn. Go for it.
I love that so much. I know that so many people need to hear that for sure. And I was the same exact way too in my journey of just questioning too. Could I be successful in this? Is this really like the next step that I want to take? Is this something that I want to do? So just going for it. I love that.
Yeah. And I think mine, I sold myself short a lot because I knew what I wanted for myself and I couldn't quite see how it was going to come through entrepreneurship. I thought
Mm,
I was adding so much more to my plate. And yet, like I said, I wanted to be this stay at home mom and raise a lot of babies and have this as an outlet for myself. And I was like, how am I going to do that if I'm owning an accounting firm and I have busy tax season? Like, I couldn't see it.
hmm.
But slowly and surely, as I accepted that role of business owner, I realized I'm in charge. I set the rules. I don't have to have a crazy busy tax season like other accountants do, or I don't have to take discovery calls all day long, be there to answer phones like every other accounting firm does. Like, I set the rules. And that was once I finally started realizing that I was in charge and
Yeah.
that was okay and trusting myself to be in charge. That's when I really stepped into the role of CEO, and business was very successful from then on out.
I love that. And I think that and the conversation that I have with my audience and a lot is like defining what success looks like to you. And I think that that's a huge part of like our journey is we look at like success as like this thing and we're like, oh, it doesn't necessarily match up, but it's you have the opportunity to curate your journey and your business to be whatever it wants, whatever you want it to be. And I think that's something that's so cool. And for me, like when I was thinking about becoming a mom, I was like, I don't know if I can be a mom, be a good mom, and run a successful business. And it's, but wait, I'm in charge. Like I can do that. And I think that's,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's so cool and so powerful. Go women. Like I'm just like
Yeah.
here, team women all the way, especially mompreneurs, that you can do it all and you have the opportunity to basically shape and craft your dream. And it doesn't have to fit inside of this box. And so I love that. I know that there are so many people listening who need more information, who want more information on taxes and just want to connect with you. So where can people find you?
Yes, come hang out with me on Instagram. It's patent.accounting. Send me a DM if you follow me and you want to learn more. My DMs are always open. I love chatting with entrepreneurs just from all over. Tell me your story. Tell me what's up. I'll send you to the right place, give you all the resources you need. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us and for being here today.
Of course. Thanks, Maya.